remind you of? Noise. Dun 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 Steve Jobs. Ba 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 bang. This is what I call the AppSoft. Get it? Microsoft plus Apple? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you don't. Hi guys, and welcome to a new episode on this channel. And today I am going to be talking about Steve Jobs, as the name implies. And also this logo is going to be shown later later. So let's just get started after clearing off this space. Quicker ways, erase all handwriting. Okay, so we're starting. And now we all know who Steve Jobs is. It's that billionaire guy who died who died a few months after my birthday. Actual birthday, by the way. And it's this guy. And he has an iPhone in his hand. The very first iPhone. Maybe not the very first, but still one of the first to actually be seen in public. And yes, he is one of the helpers and creators of the iPhone. And also he created the MacBook, he also actually just created the Macintosh, which now I use as a MacBook. And that's pretty useful. And we all owe Steve Jobs a lot of thanks. Oh, how did I zoom in? Yeah. And so how did he start all of this? Well, it turns out that he started with his biological parents giving birth to him. First of all, they gave birth to him, and then they were like, we don't have enough money to raise him. So they decided to just send the baby to adoption. And it was a very good choice. Because then the Jobs came and said, we want the baby. And when they saw the baby, they're like, so cute, we'll keep it. And then the baby grew up to be a very good boy. And he and his father had a very good passion with each other. His father taught him about mechanics, and he loved the concept of computers. But back then, computers were the size of a room. If this was a room, and this yellow part of computer, then the yellow part that I'm drawing through right now would be the whole computer. Yep. Oh, also leaving a door. I'm also leaving a door. There has to be a door. Yeah, that's how big a computer took to space. And sometimes they're even rows and connected to each other. This is getting way more complicated than you thought, is it? Well, it is, so pay attention. It's all very complicated of what a computer was like back then, and it is just good to know that computers were very clunky and were still very slow. 1,906 calculations per second isn't much today. Today our own iPads can do about a billion calculations per second in the same second. Oh, that's very stronger for an iPad. Bigger machine, but clunkier and slower. Yeah, that's what the problem with all these machines. And it just doesn't seem that this is right. Okay, now back to Steve Jobs. When he graduated high school, he decided to go to Reed College. But then he had to drop out because he couldn't pay for it. So, yeah, bye-bye Reed College. And then he was able to convince the Reed College, well, I guess whoever owns Reed College, to let him have classes for free But even if at the end of semester he will never ever get a diploma of the Reed College. And they're like, now why would anyone say yes to that? You would think that they probably said no. But then they saw how and then they scanned Steve Jobs, scanning Steve Jobs. Actually, let me do that a bit more colorful. Scanning Steve Jobs. And then they realized that he was full of a lot of potential. And so, after that, they were able to let him get in. They were able to let him take courses on whatever he wanted. And especially, he loved the calligraphy classes. Right away. And if it wasn't for these calligraphy classes, Steve Jobs would later say, there wouldn't have been any of those fonts on the Mac OS. That would have been lucky. And now, on the day he met Steve Wozniak, and it turns out both of their names were Steve, they both were going to change the world. They decided to create a company, and they used to work for a video game company. Wait, what? What in the world? Oh, wrong video game company. It isn't this one. Let me just delete it. It turns out it was the video game company that first created the game Pong. Let me explain. It's more the company that first created the arcade. And the multiplayer arcade. And so, yeah, the same controls. But this one played Pong. And Pong was very popular back then. Now, in modern day standards, it wasn't really it shouldn't even be popular. But back then, it was revolutionary. No one actually ever created a Pong game before. Like virtual ping pong before. And it was so new to them that they decided that it was one of the top favorite inventions of all time. All it did was this. You needed 2 players and a ball. Book. 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 And then add a screen. And then restart. Yeah, that was a very popular game back then. And it still is a revolutionary technology for today. And it's the basis of all of our favorite video games. Especially the Cosmic Destruction video game and the Vilgax Attack video game. That's actually one of my most favorite video games of all time, even though I don't have a PS4. I was able to play the mobile version of it. And it's just as awesome as it is that we can just see the history of our own favorite subjects and our own favorite things. It's just so good to see all that in action. And now that that's actually happened, let's talk about Pixar. Now we all know what Pixar is. It's the company that created Toy Story. And eventually Pixar was bought by Apple while it was in successes. And when Steve came back to Apple, he started creating new stuff. He created the iTunes Music Store, which I have on my Mac. And also he started working with Bill Gates and Microsoft and allowed Chrome to be on Mac OSs. Then he created Apple stores, which I've actually been to when I was in New York. And they were pretty cool. I've actually been here. And they were very awesome. You could just do all you want with those iPads and free of charge. I was able to play one of my real-life video games, which was awesome. I highly recommend going to this place if you definitely live in America or are visiting it. So, let's start with their inventions. Apple I! Very unconvincing for first. The Apple II, a ready-made keyboard attached to the computer. All you need to do is take it out, connect it to the mouse, and you're set up. All you need to figure out is just press on, as to just how to turn it on and how to put input in it. Then they created the Macintosh, which was actually very fast at its time, but very slow, and had very low memory. Then they created the iPod, which eventually turned into a phone. And then they created the iPhone, which Steve Jobs hated his old cell phone, so he decided to create this. And finally the iPad, which now can do about 1 billion calculations per second. And that's the end of Steve Jobs. Now, Steve Jobs died on October 5th of 2011. And on that day, people did this. Little quick animation, yeah. Apple Store. Person. Mr. Steve Jobs, here is a sticky note saying how much I want. You changed the world. You may have never invented these inventions, but you changed the world by inventing them for him. Stick. Hi, Steve Jobs. This is a sticky note. This is a sticky note for all this saying thanks to all the things you've done for us. You changed the world. Stick. Walk away. And then they just repeat that over and over again. Sticky note, sticky note, sticky note, sticky note, sticky note, until it was all covered with sticky notes and everyone was around it, and yeah, it was a big mess. And also, and the places where they couldn't go to the Apple stores, children went onto the sidewalk and put down half-eaten apples on the street in honor of Apple. And then they even put candles in the shape of, and then after they put on the apple of the half-bitten apple of the bitten apples, they put candles in the shape of the Apple logo sign. Yeah, I'm trying my best to draw it in circles. And this is all I can do. And it was very good at the time. And everybody dedicated their thanks to Steve Jobs on that memorable day. So I guess you guys now see why Steve Jobs is one of the best people in the world. Or unless you just really wanted to learn more about him, you came to the right video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode on Steve Jobs. And I hope you guys will subscribe to the channel. And if you really didn't, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And also download this video so you can see what's behind the subscribe button. Unless I didn't add a subscribe button, which I usually don't. And also, click the bell button. And my cat says, click the bell button and subscribe! Click. Share. Let's click share to him. Click the bell button. Subscribe. Which video?